Hi, I'm Alexis Ewing. To begin learning about wine, the best way to do it is to learn basic grape varietals first. We're here in Napa Valley, California at Freemark Abbey Winery to learn a few of them. Let's go behind the burner and meet the winemaker. Hi, I'm here with assistant winemaker at Freemark Abbey in Napa, Brian Kosi. Now Brian, what grape varietals do you use to make wine at Freemark Abbey?
Well, Alexis, we make a number of whites and reds. The first is our Sauvignon Blanc. We also make a Viognier, Chardonnay, Merlot, and 3 cabs, 1 normal Napa Valley cab and 2 single vineyard Cabernets.
Great, well I'm super thirsty, so let's get started tasting through these. So the first one we have here, this is the Sauvignon Blanc.
Okay, this Sauvignon Blanc's coming from Yontmill Vineyard. It's an organic vineyard. I pick it a little on the leaner side, not too ripe. I want to retain the natural acidity in it.
Great.
I make it 50% stainless steel, 50% French oak. I age it Sur Lie, where I stir the barrels once a week, and I don't let it go through Malolactic.
Well, Sauvignon Blanc typically has citrus flavors, some herbal flavors, maybe fresh cut grass, and sometimes more fruit like peach or tropical. So your tip to maybe get more richness from Sauvignon Blanc is Sur Lie aging, which means to age on the yeast, the dead yeast cells. Great, okay. Let's go to Viognier.
Now the Viognier is coming from Carpi Ranch. It's in the heart of Rutherford. Chuck Carpi was one of our founding partners back in 1967. This is 100% Viognier, and it's one of my favorite to make. I make it very similar to the Sauvignon Blanc, where it gets 50-50 stainless and French oak. I pull a little bit more out of it into oak, age it Sur Lie, no malolactic, and you just get this fresh, nice fresh bouquet of flowers and stone fruit.
Great, so Viognier commonly is grown in the Pondroux area, specifically of the Rhone Valley of France. We also grow it here in California, obviously, and it's grown in Australia as well. So let's see how it tastes.
A little bit of creaminess from the Sur Lie aging. I'm not going to get it from ML. Like I said, I want to lift the acid so it goes with fruit.
So malolactic fermentation, you mentioned ML. That's what Brian's talking about. Okay, great. So Chardonnay typically is grown all over the place. California, Napa, obviously, and Burgundy is probably the most famous. Burgundy. So it's sort of the queen of grapes.
Well, with Chardonnay, it's a little bigger, it's a little richer, so we want to give it a little bit more wood. We still do a 50% stainless, 50% French oak fermentation. The stainless still is fermented at about 50 degrees Fahrenheit, which takes about almost a month for it to ferment. Once it's fermented, we'll take 30% out, so we'll have about your 70% wood, 30% in stainless steel, topped up tanks. Both will remain on lees. Stir the barrels once a week to gain that richness, and we still won't let it go through ML.
So you have several tricks for Chardonnay.
Yes.
One is you use stainless steel fermentation, actually, and what does that do?
You gain crispness, and you don't lose the aromatics.
Great, so Chardonnay typically, and this one does as well from Napa, has pear, apple, little toasty note, little spice, maybe some nutmeg.
We don't want to add too much spice. We don't want to over season our food. So with the Chardonnay, we only put about 20 to 30% new wood on it. Viognier and Sauv Blanc, it gets less than 10% new wood.
So Merlot typically is
soft, fruity, round. Our Merlot tends to be a little bigger and richer. Coming from the Rutherford bench, we tend to source some really great vineyards from them. We add a little bit, 5–10% Cabernet, and a little Petite Verdot and Cab Franc just to give it a little depth.
Great, so a trick you use is to blend in other varietals with your Merlot.
Yes.
I smell a lot from this Merlot. I don't always get a lot on the nose from Merlot. How do you retain the aromatics?
We don't do very many rack and backs. We just top it, make sure it's sound, and let it be.
So your trick is?
Hands off.
Not manipulating the wine. Great, leaving the grapes to do what they naturally will do.
Exactly.
I'm noticing a common thread in all the Freemark Abbey wines. They all have a really great amount of acidity, making them very balanced. A lot of Napa Valley wines can be over-the-top fruit because it's very warm in California. So how do you retain that acidity in all of your wines?
Pick dates. One thing I've learned being here, working for Ted, is he tends to like to pick early, and I like to pick early. And keeping the pick early enough, you're not only retaining that natural acidity, but also your bricks aren't spiking up, so you're not going to get these high alcohol wines.
Right, and what are bricks? What's bricks?
Bricks is a degree of sugar, of sweetness.
Freemark Abbey is very famous for Cabernet.
This Cabernet is one of my favorites. It's a blend of numerous different vineyards throughout the valley, including our own in Rutherford. We have Red Barn Ranch. We also have 2 single vineyards, the Boucher Vineyard and the Sycamore Vineyard, which is on the west side of Highway 29, which is known as the Rutherford Bench.
Cabernet is grown all over the world, main regions, Bordeaux, Australia,
Napa, Sonoma.
Of course.
It grows like a weed, and only a handful of places that can produce ultra premium wine from it, and luckily it's here.
Great. Well, thanks so much for your time, Brian.
Sure.
This has been great.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you. Stay tuned to Behind the Burner, where we give you the tips, tricks, and techniques that are lighting the culinary world on fire.